Hi, everybody. Angel here. I hope you're doing great. And I'm super excited today to speak with Jules of all things Iceland. So we will get started very soon. And I want to invite you to check out my previous lives. They're on Instagram, IGTV, so you can check those out. Thank you for joining. Hi there. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Awesome. So first of all, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know everybody's super busy. I know it's later in the evening for you over there. So thank you so much. And I want to say hi to everybody who's joining as well, either live or on the replay. Thanks so much. And Jules, I have not told you this yet. However, the reason I discovered you was through a Facebook vegan group, and someone was asking a question about traveling to Iceland, and
Okay.
you were recommended as a person to basically connect with on social media to find out about a plant-based food in Iceland, and that's how I discovered you.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. I had no idea. It's always so interesting to hear like how people end up finding out about me. And in this case, I try to be as transparent as possible that I'm plant-based, like vegan lifestyle, but like it isn't something I talk about all the time. You know what I mean? Because it's literally all things Iceland. So, but I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you have this platform and you invited me. So thank you very much in order to kind of share about this because Iceland is way more vegan friendly than people would ever imagine.
Yeah. Now the other thing too that so we've never spoken before, just so everybody understands. Okay. And so another reason that I wanted to reach out to you is because I was lucky enough to visit Iceland in 2015.
Oh,
And so I was on a yoga retreat there, and it was super cool. And we kind of, hopped around, the country. We had a driver. We went to different locations. Of course, I can't pronounce half of the names, but we'll skip over that part. But, it was really just such a different experience and such a different landscape. So when I discovered you, I was like, ooh, it would be cool to chat with Jules and talk about travel and plant-based and all that you're doing. So I think we should just jump right in. We have tons to talk about. I just pinned a summary on the bottom of the page just to keep me on track. So just don't worry about the scribbles on the bottom of the page.
okay.
So let's just get started. But I do want to invite everyone to please put your questions and comments down below for Jules, and she'll be happy to answer as we go along. And while we wait, let me see if we have any so far. Okay, great. So while we wait, I'm just going to jump right in with my first question for you, Jules. And that is if you would be willing to share with us your plant-based journey, how you started, and how you ended up to where you are today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've been plant-based for 7 years next month.
Wow. Happy
Yeah.
vegan anniversary, plant anniversary in advance.
And okay, so this is really interesting because the 7 year wise, that was started as an experiment. But before that, there was another experiment that was actually way more intense. So I want to say like 2 or 3 years before I went fully plant-based, I tried being raw vegan.
Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's my side of the
Yeah.
spectrum there.
And like at the time though, I mean, this was so long ago. So we're talking about 10 years ago. And it was hard.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. There were very limited resources that I could find anyway. And it was, I have to laugh now because I just didn't know. So I basically was eating a lot of avocados.
Yeah.
And of course, I was eating a lot of other things, but I was not getting all of the nutrients I
Yeah.
need. And then, like, I loved experimenting though. Like, my mom, for instance, she loved when I made this raw cauliflower mash in
Ooh.
the processor. And I mean, it would fill you up, makes you like pretty, bloated because
Yeah.
of fire, but it was so tasty. And so there was all these aspects of being raw that were great, but also felt limiting because
Yeah.
parties, and I just also hadn't wrapped my head around being plant-based, period. So I jumped right into the deepest end of the pool. No life raft, no idea of how to swim. It was like, we're just gonna float here, hopefully, and and when after 6 months, I was like, okay, I think I need to reevaluate. So I go back to not being fully into meat, because I just knew, like, in my heart, or at least in my body, that was the thing. My body was just telling me, like, I don't want this, and don't eat that. Like, don't eat red meat, don't eat, like, different things like this. And so I didn't know where it came from, but I just couldn't ignore it. And I felt very tired and weighed down every time I ate meat in particular. So I just kept going with this feeling. And also, I'm lactose intolerant, which many people are, right? That's the thing.
2/3 of the global population.
Yeah. And I'm just like, why are we suffering? Right? Like, I found out as a very young kid, not knowing what it was.
Yeah.
Because they would give us milk at school. So yeah, we had very simple. I was taking other people's milk, and I was like drinking it and getting so sick, having horrible diarrhea, like all these problems. And I went to Catholic school. So what translated to me was that I was being punished by God. That's terrible.
Goodness gracious.
I laugh at it now, but I'm done because there was nothing else.
What,
I was like,
the mind of a child. That's what we grow up with. Yeah.
I must be getting punished for something, because I don't know why my brain went there. But eventually, I figured out over time that I might not be able to fully digest at all this milk, or this, like, whatever I'm drinking and eating or whatever. And so my family, though, like, they would continue on, even though they would have similar problems, but not as severely as me. So I found out about lactate, and I take that one. Anyway, the whole point is, at some point, I just wanted nothing to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
I got to a point after being raw vegan, that I was like, okay, I want to do this again, but this time I'm gonna allow myself to cook my food.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it was for a month was the challenge. It was like 30 days. Let's just see how I like it. And afterwards, I was like, this is great. I love it. I feel so good. And it was a year before I moved to Iceland. So what's hilarious about that is, I mean, granted, I had been visiting, and I did eat meat when I came, because it was like, how can you be vegan in Iceland, right? Like, the visits. But then I would go to the store and was like, wait a minute, there are vegan products here. This is in 2013 and onward. So when by 2016, I was already vegan by this time. So everyone in Gunnar's family also, which made it much easier, was like, oh, okay, well, that's just how she is. Yeah. We'll adjust, you know. And I was really grateful for people being open to this. And it took a little bit of time, I think, for people to really wrap their heads around what to do. But Veganuary, which is like vegan January, was happening already in Iceland before I moved. So
amazing.
Yeah. So like, the first time I visited was in winter, and it was for New Year's, because there's a huge New Year's celebration here. And did you come to it?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you after.
Okay. And we went to the store, and I was like, why are there so many vegan products on display? And Gunnar's like, oh, it's Veganuary. And I never even heard of this before. That's what's so funny, is that I found out about Veganuary in Iceland.
Yeah.
The thing.
That's amazing.
The thing in the US, I have no idea. Like, yeah. So that was hilarious to me, that I found out about this month-long thing that people were doing when I was already been doing it for, you know, since April of that previous year. So yeah, that was in essence how it has been for me. And then it's just continued on. Like, restaurants here, almost every restaurant, at least in Reykjavik, that you go to has a vegan option. Many of them outside of the city, or they will make something for you. Like, if you say, hey, you know, I don't see anything on the menu that suits me, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll just fix something up and give you something. And it's like, oh, thank you. That was very nice. And I've had some really, like, cool meals. Now, granted, I've had some that were lackluster, but that's just life in terms of restaurants and choices. But on average, it's never been this, like, hassle. It's always been like, we want to accommodate you. Thank you for letting us know. Here is something that we're thinking of. How do you feel about that? And it's like, yeah, I'll take that.
Wow, that's really cool. I love it.
One thing I say, because I'm very surprised by it, and I'm planning to do a video on YouTube, that Iceland has the largest all-vegan store in the world.
Gosh, yeah. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, okay, so I heard this. And then I went to the store, and I was like, I talked to Linda, who is the owner, or what, I think she's the owner and the founder or something like this. of it. And I saw her picture and I was like, and then I saw her actually in the store and I was like, are you Linda? And we started chatting. And I was like, is it true that this store is the biggest in the world? She's like, yeah, not only by like square meters, but also by like amount of products and stuff. And I was like, whoa, I'm doing a video about this. So I have to email her actually to do a video because, I mean, this tiny country of 377,000 people has the largest vegan store. How is that even possible, right? Like, and I love it. Oh yeah, this person's like everything tomato restaurant. Yeah, Fruithaymad is a great restaurant. I love it too. So like, yeah, it's a tomato greenhouse. So you eat in a greenhouse because you feel like you're in the Mediterranean. Like you're smelling fresh vegetables, like the tomatoes on the vine, and like, you know, bumblebees are flying around. Like it completely takes you to a different world.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, gosh, you know, I want to applaud you for jumping into the raw side, like right at the beginning, because honestly, like even like people who were, you know, they ate like the cooked plant-based vegan diet first, and then they go to raw, like they really struggle with it. So I am really impressed that you somehow, you know, jumped into the raw side. I mean, I personally love the raw side, and I know some people, you know, kind of have a different, I don't know, a different opinion of it. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I just want to applaud you for that. And then also for like, you know, persevering and saying, okay, well, this particular, you know, style is not for me, but I'm going to try, you know, the cooked version. So that is super cool. I was there for this yoga retreat, and it was from the end of December until New Year's. And so one of the beautiful parts was, you know, well, first of all, you guys have like amazing bars and music and all of that. So for New Year's Eve, we did a little bit of bar hopping with our group. And then also the bonfire, the fire that you have, like, I guess it's like to, I don't know, purge the old year and bring in the new year or something or the other. I don't really know.
Explore around this too. I mean, there's like a whole lot of like cultural tidbits that are really fun.
Yeah. So that was super cool. So I do want to say hi to everybody who's joining. Please put your questions and comments down below for Jules, and she'll be happy to answer. I'm just checking to see, okay, if we have any other comments or questions. And so that takes us to our next question, please. And that is, so why did you move to Iceland?
Yeah. So my husband is Icelandic, and he told me when we lived back in the United States that, okay, this is funny. We were long distance in the United States for 3 years. We never actually lived together there, but that's a whole other story. But he told me
I did see your awesome video explaining your whole journey, and I was just like swooning. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so romantic.
It's funny that you never know where life is going to take you. That's for sure. And so he had already told me he planned to move back to Iceland, and I was like, okay, I'll go. Like, it's just, you know, in my brain, I think it's similar to the raw thing. I was just like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
You just jump right in. I love it.
Good. Let's just try it. And thankfully, this one worked out way better than my raw journey.
Well, raw is always there whenever you want to revisit it. That's what I would say, you know?
Yes. And this person says that, okay, they can see, the nature also is just amazing. Yeah. Beautiful, like you experience. And the last couple of years, because of the pandemic, we've not been able to have the bonfires and stuff. So experience it, because that is such a quintessential part of New Year's Eve, is like bonfires, fireworks, you know, lots of stuff. So
I have little videos of the fireworks. Yeah.
Do I think that vegan cream puffs and dairy cream puffs have much of a difference? Well, to be fair, I do not really. I've never tried a non-vegan cream puff, so I actually can't say. Right. But my husband has, and I mean, I think we both feel like, in terms of those types of desserts, you can taste like the mucousness that you get from having, you know, the cow's milk one. But there are a lot of amazing flavors that really like, and in my opinion, it really comes down to like the variety that you get, and if they've just done a good job with the classic. So I did this, I don't know if you know this, but I did this whole video. Okay. Yeah. So Boludagur is vegan, or sorry, it's not. I do this because I'm so used, I must say it's vegan cream puff day. It's not vegan cream puff, it's just a regular cream puff day in Iceland that's a part of Lent, like leading up to Lent. but they now have been having for the last couple of years the vegan versions of this. And so I do my best to promote these versions because I want them to keep doing it, and I want people to know that they have options. Like, there are people who might not be vegan, but they're lactose intolerant.
Yes.
Or they just don't want to have the the non-vegan version. I don't know, whatever. Maybe they want to try both. It could be whatever. So for me, it's always been, I appreciate the fact that people have put effort into it, and the variety this year was amazing in comparison to last year. So I'm very happy about that. So
yeah.
Have I learned any new plant-based words in Icelandic? Good question. I mean, it's so easy because vegan and vegan are the same. So like if you say ég er vegan, people were like, oh, you're vegan. You know what I mean? Like it literally is spelled the same. It just sounds different. So you don't really have to say a lot there. Or ég borða ekki kjöt. So like saying kind of the things that you don't eat. So I don't eat meat. Ég drekka ekki mjölk. Like I don't drink milk. Like stuff like that, you know? Or dairy.
So you explain it to them.
Yeah, but if you say you're vegan, that should do it. Like people are understanding of what that means. Maybe someone who's like in their 80s or 90s, you know?
Yeah, but that's understandable.
You know what I mean? They'll ask them
No,
like
but that's totally understandable though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not even of their generation.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't like, that's not even the people you encounter most of the time anyway. But even still, there are people, like families here, there are people where like there could be someone who's lactose intolerant, someone who's gluten-free, someone who's vegan, someone who's keto. I mean, it can go the opposite. So like, it's actually a joke in the end of the comedy sketch out of Scoipith, and it's like not this year, but the year before, where they had a whole table of people and everyone has like a different thing they don't eat or don't.
Really?
It's a joke because it's a on like the stuff pop culture in the year. It's almost like an analysis about the year of Iceland that just we're saying goodbye to. You know?
Oh,
And it's hilarious that they had this sketch of people being like, I don't eat gluten, I don't eat this, or I'm keto, or I'm vegan. And it's like, what for dinner? So
yeah, and then some people are like, well, I don't eat sugar, well, I don't eat salt, you know, or
Yeah.
I'm going fat free, or I'm on a diet. Yeah. I mean, they could have like 10.
You know, so it's like there's a whole bunch of exactly. All right, so he says, what are there any traditional Icelandic dishes that are plant-based other than Icelandic moss? Okay, well, technically it is. But okay, there are ones where you can make them vegan and not feel like the dish suffers. So laufabrauð is one of my favorite. This is an Icelandic dish that's eaten at Christmas time. It's thin bread where they make shapes that are these geometric shapes, kind of like they call it leaf bread because it's so thin. So it's like you know, it doesn't rise up or anything, and it's
Okay.
really they fry it in oil, or of course like animal fat was what they used to do. And the vegan version, I think tastes personally, and I know a lot of people have eaten it, but like it's so good. And Icelandic rye bread, but it's a sweet rye bread. They used to make ground, so with all the geothermal energy, you can, in certain spots where it's like a lot of geothermal energy, you can literally take a pot, like wrap it up or whatever with the bread ingredients and cook it in the ground. And for one of my videos,
Oh, wow.
the Reykjanes Peninsula, I did a partnership with Visit Reykjanes, and they actually baked a vegan version in the ground for me. And it was so good. And it was just like, this, first of all, that bread is amazing. So there are certain places where you can get this, Vegan Búðin, or the vegan store, which I'm going to definitely do a video about on my channel. They have these, they have Icelandic, sometimes they have Icelandic, which is like a donut. Yeah, they also have a bakery that makes vegan donuts, like regular ones. So there are so many different potentials, and I'm trying to think of other dishes that are Icelandic. Oh, it's pickled purple cabbage. There you go.
Oh, nice. Kind of like a kimchi fermented something or the other.
Yeah, spicy though. I mean, Icelanders are not into the spicy foods, so like definitely not spicy. And then also like peas, corn, carrots, like those things show up on Icelandic dishes. So you'll usually have those side dishes. Potatoes. I found a great recipe for making the caramelized potatoes, which is a very Nordic thing. Vegan, amazing. And like, what was the problem before is that we weren't sure how to coat them so that they would get nice and like coated with the caramelized sugar or whatever. And I found a recipe where a person had experimented and made a vegan version, and now I had that recipe down. So like, I can make those traditional side dishes and then have a nut steak or a vegan Wellington or something like that that I get from the vegan store from Vegan Boothin to make.
Those are nice.
Yeah, to make these dishes that are veganized Icelandic, dishes in a way.
Yeah, we as a part of our retreat, we went to this place. So they had like saunas and then like these heated pools and stuff, and then of course like a body of water that was, I guess, near frozen, and people were jumping in. Of course, I wasn't doing it, but they also had like what you were describing, kind of like a hole in the ground or something, like with heat cooking up something, and now that you say it, it could have been bread, and the guy was just kind of like handing them out, and I was like, this is so weird, like it's freezing. It's freezing and they're cooking in the ground. Like, what is happening here? I'm trying to stay warm. I have to tell you. I mean, I was hopping. Sorry?
No, I'm saying you're probably like, can I put my hands over the steam of the bread or something?
Yeah. Or can I go back into the sauna and then can I go back into the heated pool?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they don't, now it's more of like a touristy thing to, they have ovens and stuff like that. But
yeah, of course.
Cool. When you get bread, it will have that smell that's wafting off of it of the like egg smell because
yeah.
Like you package it in a way so that it's actually into the food. It's just, the aroma, we'll say.
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard in one of your videos you were describing like the water can sometimes smell like that. Like, I guess it's the hot water that you were describing.
Yes. So in some of the pipes, I mean, the way that they're, I guess, pumping in also the water, there gets some gas. And so there's like, could be sulfur that's like in the pipes itself, but also the gas that's pumped into the water. When you get it, when it's hot, you smell it and it smells like eggs. It smells like rotten eggs. And that can be very off-putting initially. It's not
until you get used to it though, right?
And you turn on the cold water, you don't smell it. So the thing is, if you took the hot water and just put it on the counter and let the vapors waft off of it and it becomes cooler, you don't even smell it anymore. Now, granted, I know that I'm very used to it.
Yeah.
So when I go away for a week or two and I come back, like, oh.
It's back, yeah.
It's there. Maybe not everywhere, but it is there in a lot of places. It's not harmful at all, but it's just kind of funny that like what you think, when you think you're not going to get used to, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's no big deal. Like, you literally don't even notice it.
Yeah, someone said shocking.
I agree. That's why I made a video of like what to expect if you're a first time.
Yeah.
This is one of those situations where you go and you're just like, what is that? There's something wrong with my shower or something wrong with my sink or something. And there is, there's not really like a first timer's manual.
Yeah. It's like, cause your video was kind of like an orientation, but like when you go to a hotel, I mean, I don't recall them like telling us stuff like that, but hey, it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of the experience. Yeah.
So as we continue here, please put your questions and comments down below for Jules. She'll be happy to answer. And thanks for joining, everyone. So while we wait for more questions and comments, so you started All Things Iceland. And when and why did you start this whole, I guess, platform?
Yeah, one is I was constantly getting questions from people about Iceland, what to do, what to see, how is it, what do you expect, how far away is it, like that. I was just like, okay, well.
It's surprisingly close.
Yes, that's the thing. Whenever I tell people it's like 5.5 hour flight from New York, they're like, what? How is that? And I'm from New York City, right? And so this gets a lot of people to feel like it's much more accessible to them. And then to certain parts of Europe, it's obviously a lot less. So that is, it's wonderful if you're aware that it doesn't take that much time. And also, Icelandair, which I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but this is a great idea that they have, where it's this layover. No, it's a stopover. There you go. So basically, if you want to buy a ticket on Icelandair from New York, let's just say, to Paris, you can stop over in Iceland for like up to 7 days without anything extra. So it's just basically up to have, because, you know, yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. NYC in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, when I went in 2015, there was the airline WOW.
Yeah.
And they had a similar program
Mm-hmm.
where you could like do those kind of combos.
Yes. And it's so smart. They have a new budget airline now called Play Airline. We'll see how they'll do. I mean, fuel, unfortunately, because of what's happening with the war, is really, really high at the moment for airlines. So that is a negative. But in terms of them trying to be really affordable, that's what they say, at least what they're aiming for. So we'll see what happens. And then another thing for me is that when I was looking around, because I was binge listening to podcasts at the time, this is 2017, I just didn't see any or hear any podcasts that interest me or like were answering the things that I wanted to hear. So because I was listening to Tim Ferriss's podcast, he was like, he always has guests on who are so inspirational and who've done amazing things in their life. And they're always just like, you're never ready. You just do it. And I was like,
Jump in.
That's it, right? Again, it's like head first, go for it, see how it works out, and here I am.
So we have a question here. What are some plant-based dishes that Icelanders also enjoy? You may have partially answered that when you were talking about, I guess, what we could call the accidentally vegan dishes. Some people call them like that, but I don't know if you had any comments you wanted to share on that.
Yeah, when it comes to traditional dishes, definitely the plant-based ones are peas and the corn and the pickled red cabbage. Those are staple traditional, like they go with like the foods if you were going to have, you know, lamb or whatever else to eat. They have those on the side. That's always there. So granted, I mean, they could put them in butter if they wanted, but normally they're just really pouring out of the can, some people. So
yeah
always warmed up that much. Other dishes that are not really vary. I think when you get into dishes that are just available, it just goes off into the atmosphere of if a person just came up with something really delicious and fun vegan to eat. Because I feel like modern Icelandic food it doesn't include like fish or any type of thing that would be non-vegan.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of varies. There's many restaurants that do different fusion type things, or they're like a Nordic type of spin on them. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, there's like, of course, ice cream and like chocolate and stuff. A lot of people here eat ice cream that is dairy, but at the same time, there are a lot of vegan options as well, or a decent amount. I wouldn't say they're all good, but there are decent amounts.
I think that's everywhere though. Like some of the plant-based vegan options are a little bit hit and miss. You know, so yeah. Now this is kind of similar to another question as well. What is your favorite new plant-based word you've learned in Icelandic? I don't know. I mean, I know you explained vegan is vegan, but I don't know. I don't know how well. I don't know if you have any comments on this one.
That's specifically plant-based. I'm trying to think. Not sure. Mainly because it's not like describing how delicious food is, instead of like it being specifically about being plant-based, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's some specific word.
Yeah.
No, but at the moment I'm not like.
I wasn't quite.
Like, oh my gosh, yes, for the vegans.
Oh my gosh! So we have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What are the best months to visit with children?
I mean, technically any month, but I'll be honest about the fact that wintertime, especially this winter, was pretty rough, and we had a lot of ice, and I don't think it's fun to do it with adults when it's really icy outside and you're like potentially slipping around. So I would say maybe the months like right now in March, a lot of the snow is at least in the south has melted on the ground. The ice, I should say. It's not so much the snow. The crunchy snow is fine, but once it turns to slick ice, that can be really challenging. So if you're looking to avoid crowds, then April, May, those are shoulder months. September, October, June, July, August are summer months. July is the peak of summer in Iceland. That's all like high of 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Not like not super warm, but Iceland is also extremely kid friendly. Like there are very few places you can go that would not allow children, and it has to be like they have some specific reason or like I their kids everywhere. Restaurants everywhere. There are playgrounds everywhere, and every town you go to, you can usually find, especially in summertime, the gigantic trampolines that are like multicolored, and kids are just jumping all over them, having bouncy houses, in offices. When I started working here, I was so surprised at the fact that like the children's corner, like in almost every office, it's not
amazing.
If someone has to bring their kid in. I mean, granted, with people being sick now was different last years, but before that, there were kids all the time. It's like, oh yeah, my kid doesn't feel good today. They're gonna be in the corner watching TV. It's like, okay.
And in the US, it's like bring your kids to work day, like one day.
I want to hear from them on that day either. It's like, in the corner quietly as if kids do that. So yeah.
We have a comment here. Now you can pronounce this better than I can. Vegan what? January made vegan.
Talking about that's the vegan January. Yeah. For January.
Awesome.
People try out being vegan for the month of January.
Yeah. Someone commented June. Yeah, that's what you were saying as well. Let me just see if we missed anyone. They are family friendly, the best children's parks in the world. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like it's very obvious that family is of the utmost and utmost importance in terms of like, I mean, granted, not everyone can strike the balance. It's very hard, but at least it's acknowledged and understood.
Yeah.
Kid to leave work early because your kid something, like there are sick days for when your kid is sick. That is built into like employment, and I was just like,
yeah, that's awesome. So let's go to our next topic while we wait for some more questions and comments. So I need to get back to my little list here. Tell us then, please, a bit about some of the vegan-friendly places in Iceland, and or some of the tricks. And I know you kind of kicked us off with some of the tricks on, finding plant-based vegan options around Iceland. But if there's anything else you want to say about, traveling as a plant-based vegan person, any tips you might have for any of us?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so there are only vegan restaurants in Iceland, which is great, and that is growing. So there's a place like Mama Reykjavik. So in downtown Reykjavik, there's Mama Reykjavik, there's Vegan World Peace. So Mama Reykjavik is, I guess they do a variety of dishes. I don't know what kind of genre they would fall into of like, restaurants. But Vegan World Peace is like Asian inspired food. Same thing with Loving Hut. They're owned by the same company. Loving Hut is in a lot of places.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like chain or something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if Vegan World Peace is a new chain, or is it just in Iceland? I've not heard of that one before moving here. Anyway, those two, my favorite of the two is Vegan World Peace, because I feel like the food tastes less greasy, and I don't know, something about the environment also is much more enjoyable to me. There's also Yum. So the vegan store has a fast food restaurant called Yum.
Oh.
And they also sell some sandwiches. So when I go on road trips, I'll often go to Hakkaupin and have Yum ready-made sandwiches there that you can pick up. So like vegan versions of hangikjöt. So hangikjöt is like dry hung meat, like dried meat or whatever, that Icelanders usually make into like sandwiches or like. And so they have a vegan version of that, and they have a vegan version of something else. I can't remember in a sandwich. I wouldn't say they're necessarily healthy,
right? but
kind of like a sauce thing or whatever. But they serve like fries and burgers at their restaurant in the mall, and then like Junkyard is a vegan place that has a cart, and I think that's in Avon, which is just an area of of Reykjavik. And then also this other place that has really healthy food. Like Mama Reykjavik is like more of a healthier food place. And so there's one called Mr. Joy. Food is really delicious there. And that's in Copenhagen. Drive a little bit to get there. The Cat Cafe, where you go and like enjoy cats and even like adopt a cat. So they have vegan food and they have vegan waffles, which I have not had yet. So I'm also hoping to do a vegan, only vegan restaurants in Iceland video too, to kind of show that. Yeah, Midden Friedheimar, yes, that's true. The greenhouse that has tomato soup. Yeah, so there's like places like Friedheimar where which has both, which they have a fusion of vegan and non-vegan food. And then another all vegan that opened up recently I heard about. I haven't been there yet. Oh man, so I took my tongue. I can't remember the name, but yeah, there's this one place that just opened and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I wrote it down. So I took my phone. And so I'll just have to like send it to you later.
No worries. But two things about what you said, Jules. Not everyone wants the healthy plant-based vegan options. I am actually sometimes stunned and blown away by some of these vegan travel groups that I'm in, because the person who's asking the question about a specific destination will specifically say, I don't want healthy versions. I want the junk food vegan places. Please recommend those. I don't want healthy food. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, well, first of all, they're super honest. Secondly, they just don't, they just want to, like, I don't know, splash out and try all these dishes. The second point, what you were mentioning about picking up sandwiches, and yes, I understand that they're not the healthiest version. What I'm getting at, though, is that, Iceland is such a road trip friendly country that if a person needs to kind of stock up on some food, snacks, provisions for a road trip, then that might be an option, going to a supermarket, going to a market, getting some of those more portable foods that, you don't need a fork and a knife for. And I'm not saying that, it's great or anything like that. I'm just saying personally, I think that, convenience sometimes is very important as well.
I agree. Totally. And that's why I think in terms of if you're going to go on a road trip, stopping Reykjavik is a great idea. Granted, there are supermarkets around the country where you can find vegan options, but for instance, Reykjavik is the only place where the all vegan store is. So if you wanted something, so what I do is I go to Bonus first, because Bonus is less expensive. It's this little pig, and that's how you can and as they like, mascot, I guess you could call it, or something. Fine. That's how you can see that. And I actually redid the pig recently because it used to look like a drunken, crazy pig. But now
that's so weird. Yeah.
Or like either Bonus first and then maybe turn on. And then if I have specialty things, I go to Vegan Booth because it is more expensive. But the thing is, I still want to support them. So I usually go every week to Vegan Booth just because there are treats there. And, I'm trying to keep active working stuff. So I try to limit my treats. Like these vegan pork rinds. I mean, they're not pork rinds, obviously.
Right.
But they love crunchy things. And so for me, it's the ultimate crunchy snack.
Yeah.
Nacho flavor. They have hot as hell. They have, Texas barbecue. So I go there, I get a bag, and it actually has a lot of protein. It has 26 or 5 grams of protein in a whole bag, which is very
a lot.
And it's pea protein.
Oh yeah, pea protein is powerful.
That's the thing, is like there's so many more. Like for me, soy can sometimes break me out here, acne. So I actually have stopped consuming soy, and all of the protein that I have either comes from some type of either pea protein or seitan. I make my own seitan at home, and then also maybe a hemp protein or something like this.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Yeah, but soy has just really not been my best friend. So it's very possible to also be soy free.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll find though, of course, it's like a lot of the ready-made fake meats or whatever stuff, they have it in there, so you just have to look. But it is very possible, and I stay away from it. And if you did want something like tempeh that is soy, they have that too. big refrigeration section of all like yogurts and milk and all the. I mean, I feel like I'm going to Whole Foods when I go to this.
It's so.
Yeah.
It's so funny you were saying that, because when you were describing like the plant-based yogurts, I was imagining Whole Foods, like the shelf with stocked up with the little
companies when I go to visit the US now, I'm like, oh, that's here. You know, I'm like, I see this in Iceland. I'm like, this is so weird that I can even say that. And I told Linda, I was like, I am so grateful for you and this store, and like all of you have put this together, because this is an effort. I mean, I remember I used to go to the store when it was in Hafnarfjörður, when it was literally a shoebox of a store. And then they expanded to an area that used to be a bonus. It used to be a supermarket. But what they did is they built it so that it was kind of small at first. And as more people came to shop there, they kept expanding and expanding. And it was so smart, because you really got to see that people wanted what you were doing. And also the vegan community, there's a website, Vegan Iceland. Well, not a website, sorry. It's a Facebook group. I do this sometimes, I forget. Oh, thank you. Good Icelandic recipe. Okay. From Purely Sika. Interesting. Okay. So check that out. So there's this really active community that shares there, and also people like restaurants, they'll share if they're doing like vegan menus and stuff like this. So you really feel like you're getting, because they want obviously you to come and patronize their business. But but at the same time, it's also like, you know, that because this community is so passionate about wanting to continue the growth in the country, that people are wanting to spread the word, and that you must never know, maybe like your family goes there and everyone gets to be happy.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell us, please, so you started your All Things Iceland. You were getting lots of questions. So you have a YouTube channel, you have a podcast, you have merchandise. Tell us whatever you want us to know about everything you're doing. And I heard you're on TikTok. So
I posted a little bit, but I love TikTok. First of all, I go on TikTok now just for fun. Like,
that's what it's for. Yeah.
My impression of TikTok was that it is for young kids, you know, and
not anymore.
No, and I'm laughing, I'm learning, I'm like, oh, that was ridiculous. I feel like I'm in the drama. And then you're just laughing at some of these voiceovers that people are doing, and that it really brings out the creative in me. And wants me, I made a couple of videos already where it's just super silly, but that's the point, you know what I mean? And I feel like I've always felt like I've been authentic, but another part of me that really didn't have this same outlet and encouragement, it's almost like a little bit of a naughty side, you know, to be kind of like silly. So,
but I heard the other day, so I listen to a lot of people on Clubhouse, and I heard the other day that one person was recommending that you actually be very spontaneous on TikTok, because that's what people want. They don't want the, you know, specially curated, perfect videos that you might get in Reels and so forth and so on. Apparently, the ones that are more, you know, natural and organic on TikTok, they say those are the more successful ones. That's what they were saying the other day.
You know, like, thanks, Aptis. That's very nice of you to say. But yeah, so it's like, I also, like, I feel that, you know, because I see myself gravitating towards even people who are just like what we're doing. They're just talking in the camera about something. That part really engages me, because I'm just like, I don't know. I guess maybe it's the topics, of course, you know, like anything else, context is necessary. But even just these silly things that, you know, and then you scroll up or whatever, you find something like, oh, that hit me in a way that I wasn't expecting. Also, I had no idea, and this is a really random thing to do with veganism or Iceland, but I had no idea that so many people, like so many guys are coming up with podcasts to talk about women. And like,
I didn't know that.
Going on, and I didn't realize this was a thing.
Me neither. I gotta check those out.
So much on TikTok. Is Cafe Babalu vegan? I am not sure. I haven't been there in a long time, so I have to check. But they're not all vegan. I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised if they had like some vegan options.
Yeah.
Completely Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So what do we need to know about your YouTube channel?
Ooh, well, actually, this week is a really big week for me because the eruption anniversary is coming up on Saturday. And so tomorrow I am kickstarting what I'm calling Eruption Week on all things Iceland. So I have a giveaway actually of this book. It's super random I'm saying this, but so there's this photographer who documented his like photographic journey of the volcano and everything. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I interviewed him, and so I'm giving away this book in the video that's tomorrow, which is kind of like the kickoff for Eruption Week, just to kind of talk about, because this was so far the longest eruption for this century, so the 21st century in Iceland. And that's a huge deal. I mean, it was 6 months long, and that's a long time. And it was also a tourist eruption, they call it. So it ends up being that, you know, people were able to easily access it and things like that. I interviewed him, which comes later on, and then there's a documentary called Fire in Iceland, which the director of that I interviewed, and on Saturday is the premiere of that. So I'm going to that premiere on Saturday, and then on Sunday I'm actually for free. So the director was so nice to allow me to showcase for free the documentary on my channel. And it will only be available as a premiere video. So like after the premiere of the documentary is over, I will delete it so that people can buy it other places like on Vimeo or Prime Video. And for people who do watch it, and if you want to contribute in like some positive way, we're actually gonna have a donation button specifically to go towards the Icelandic search team. So they are a 100% voluntary organization. They're non-profit, non-commercial, and they just literally, like, they have day jobs, but they volunteer all year long in every season, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. They train all the time to be able to save lives. And so this documentary, like showing it for free, and essence we're doing that, but have the possibility to donate towards this organization in Iceland that is really so selfless. That would be greatly appreciated.
So tell us when the documentary will be available on your YouTube channel.
On Sunday, March 20th. So all of this so if you follow me over on YouTube, I'm also going to be announcing this tomorrow, of course, on my Instagram, but Eruption Week starts tomorrow, and I will have like the links and everything to where you can like sign up in my newsletter to specifically get the link and the time on Sunday in which I will be coming out. And then of course, like all the videos, like the different interviews that are coming up. Because it's amazing. Like there's so many amazing, passionate people. And this documentary for me, when I watched it, was so empowering in a lot of ways, because it's not just about how beautiful the volcano is. It's about the Icelandic search and rescue team, for instance. It's about the photographers, the geologists, the artists who did specific work around the eruption and kind of what it felt for them, the impact that it had on like the people in the area, the psyche of Icelandic people regarding the volcano, and like just volcanoes in general, and living in such a volatile place. So this to me it's really well done. And there's a guy into the volcano 67 times. Or 57, something like that. This is like that's dedication. He was there the first time, and then like 56 other times.
I mean that's like going every other day on average. But also, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the I don't know how to say it, but like the spewing actually like detected like like miles and miles and miles away? Like it wasn't just in Iceland, but wasn't it like
I don't know if it was like, if you mean like actually seeing the.
No, wasn't it like a little bit of residue or no?
Oh, yeah, more than
like in the wind or something.
Yeah, that's not unusual. So yeah, the wind, but it like with Eyjafjallajökull, which was the one that erupted in 2010, that closed all European airports.
Yeah, that might be the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Right. This one didn't have as much ash.
Okay.
But still, there were, you know, like it's not.
But it was longer.
Because yeah, at some point, like air quality did become an issue and stuff like that, and gases and stuff. So it's not, I guess, weird to hear about that. But thankfully, it was nowhere near the effect of 2010, and absolutely nowhere near Laki. So Laki was terrible because it literally, there was like a cloud, and this is in like the 1700s or something, I think late 1700s, where the clouds in England, there was even like they call it a red haze. It's like a really intense thing. And like summer, there was no summer. It was just a red summer because the sky was filled with pollution from this volcanic eruption that also lowered the temperature on the earth. Like there was residue and like effects in Africa. Like it was like it reached so far. So volcanic eruptions are nothing to play around with.
I agree.
And thankfully, when they're like the one that ended from last year, that it was something, like I said, it's a tourist eruption because it doesn't really cause any harm. Nobody's homes were, you know, whatever, people could go up to it. It's considered small. Now, if you had gone there, you would not think to yourself, oh, this is tiny, you know?
Well, just looking at the photos you just showed, I'm like, that's humongous, you know? But I guess it was like a spectacle or something for people.
Exactly. That's amazing. Even though the hike there was kind of intense, I'm not gonna lie. I went 3 times, I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't
Okay.
fly me because I can't walk all the time. So out, but I have my limits. And this photographer, this book that I'm doing the giveaway for tomorrow, he went 44 times.
Oh my heavens.
Yeah, I mean, this in his heart. Yeah, it was a mini ice age. That's true. Yeah, exactly. And like, so we're talking about Laki. This is not this volcano, but Laki, which is from the 1700s. And like a quarter of Iceland fled the country. I mean, because it was not necessarily the volcano itself, it's like the after effects. So the lack of crops, the dying livestock, like really horrible situation. So it's ended up being, but thankfully, like I said, like this eruption was not like that. And this other person, you know, there are people who they were called to go to this eruption. They just could not ignore it. Like the same way, like I or not eating meat anymore. You know, it's kind of a weird, like, in some ways, but like when you just know, you know, right? And you have to follow this thing in you, your intuition, whatever it is that tells you I have to do this. So like that, I'm grateful for them because otherwise we wouldn't have this amazing footage.
I agree. Oh my gosh. So then tell us about your podcast. What do we need to know about your podcast?
Yes. So the podcast is audio only, and I do oftentimes have both on the audio and video, but there are some times where there are just purely audio episodes so that you'll never see on YouTube. And it's not like a purposeful thing. It just kind of happens that way. Yeah. One of my favorites, and I recently put this out a couple of weeks ago, was my mom, my sister, and me, and we just had a ball. So like,
I saw your YouTube short with
my mom. She is,
and she was twirling around on Black Beach, just twirling around.
Yes, she's so much fun, and that's. My sister is, and it's so weird because, not weird, but like hilarious to me because she has this humor that's very deadpan. Like she's not laughing, she's not whatever, she's just saying something that sounds absolutely absurd. And at the same time, like, okay, thank you for contributing. I don't know what you're talking about. But, and that's how my family is. We have this dynamic of the 3 of us. Like my dad, unfortunately, when I was 20 years old. And so like we were all very close. So like my nuclear family, basically now my sister, and we just make each other laugh because it's so nice to be around this energy that you've like grown up with and you're so familiar, and also like share these more movies with, and they really loved it.
That's awesome. And your podcast, I know it's on Apple, I guess it's on Spotify, and okay.
And cool podcast, like anywhere that you listen to podcasts, it should be there.
Okay, cool.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, so we have a comment, your mom is cool.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. And
she is. And that YouTube short did really well.
Yeah, I just was like, I'm gonna see what happens, you know, because on Instagram it did pretty well. On TikTok, people were like, nah, but on YouTube they were like, yeah,
I
mommy.
know, I know, I know. I was like, whoa, that is so cute.
And she is really like just this loving individual, right? That just wants to like, she literally wants to give and help everybody. So I'm just so glad that people also feel her spirit and the fact that she is so lively of a person. Like she's always been, since I was 8 years old, I had this like little thing where I wrote, my mom is my hero.
Oh, that's adorable. I love that.
She's always encouraged me and my sister. I call her our ultimate hype woman because she always helps us to understand that we're powerful, we are beautiful, we are capable, we can just do it. Like she's there to always cheer us on. And similarly with us, we're there to always cheer her on. And I'm just so grateful to have that type of love and support in my life from growing up, because I'm able to then spread that to other people. I can genuinely come from a place of love and, you know, appreciation and share that with others.
Yeah, and you know what's so beautiful too? Like she's your biggest cheerleader, and also that, you know, you've learned like it's okay to support other people. Like it's okay to want other people to do well and to encourage them and lift them up, rather than it being like a competition, like, oh my gosh, well no, you know, I can't support them because do, you know, like that's really beautiful. I think that's a beautiful gift.
I agree. And especially in the creator world, I feel like a lot of people feel this way. And that is unfortunate. There's room for everybody. Everybody has their own sense. People like somebody, you can literally be saying the same thing, two people saying the same thing, and someone's like, I just like that person better. Why?
Well, you resonate.
Right. So.
Yeah. Oh, your mom gave us insight into you. Oh.
Glad. I mean, like I said, and also my mom she still is really big in terms of like volunteering in the community. Like she's given so much to the community, and now it's specifically through her church. She does, she's the head of Caring Hands. So people who are sick and shut in, she packs up like packages of food and stuff like that. But she is also aesthetically really into decorating things. So she buys beautiful baskets. Like she wants them to feel like they're getting this amazing gift. It's not just like, here's a box of some cans of food. She's like, no, I want to be baskets, and we get the cellophane and we get the bow ties and the blah, blah. And I'm like, Mom, this is intense. Like it's the whole production, but
it makes a difference.
Yeah,
it makes a difference.
Like it, meaning like they feel the love, and they feel the like
they feel special too.
Yeah, exactly. So she constantly reminds me.
Yeah.
And like actually saying anything, but just like her actions constantly remind me that like we're all here for a purpose and to share the gifts that we have. And it's so important to not focus on what you don't think you have, but like what you can give and share that out into the world. And the more you do it, the better you get at it.
I love that. Give and take. I love that. So, tell us, please, about any future. We didn't cover your merchandise, and then any future projects that you might have, or you know, services, or anything that you want to share at this time.
Yes. So the merchandise site is really adding on some new things I'm really excited about. I'm trying to get it designed because I do like the designing. But some things are just better that someone else designs to make sure it's absolutely correct. And something basically like a vegan friendly lopapesa, which is Icelandic sweater. So like I'm trying to work on something like this.
Oh yeah, because they're very pretty.
Yes, they are. But like I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable wearing wool.
No, right.
Like I want to kind of like come up with something different that I feel like would be really helpful for people.
That will be popular. I'm telling you, that's going to be super popular.
I think so too. And I think also because it's like the way I'm planning on doing it, it's not the traditional way, but you still get that traditional feel. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to give too much away, but I'm super excited about it. So also, I'm working on a content hub. Now, this is something I've been working on for a long time. I actually told people this, I think, back in the summertime. I was like, how long it would take me.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a big project, though.
Yeah, and it allows people when they're planning to come to Iceland, you basically would get all this information that you need for coming to plan your own trip. and to make it super easy for you. Because I feel like the questions I get the most are like, I'm coming for 7 days, what should I do? I'm coming for this, blah, blah, what should I do? And I'm like, I'm working on something for you. Because I don't have like super canned responses, mainly because it really depends on the person, and it really depends on what you want, right? And like, I want to like have a space where you have that information and it feels like I can go and pick and choose, like based off of these videos, whatever that you have, kind of more centralized. And then I'm also, because a lot of people tell me that they like the podcast and listen to it while they're in Iceland, which I thought interesting. But I've heard that they listen to it while they're driving around. And I was like, well, I would like to make an audio guided app where when you're driving, I am guiding you. It's GPS linked. So when you get to a certain spot, it turns on to tell you like, this is this. And there's like, you know, a certain saga associated with this area or something like that. That's really cool. So that is something that a big project.
Oh, with the elves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So there's like, I think that's for me at the moment, on top of the content that I already make and stuff. It's and then there's the companies that I work with and stuff. So that's like this, you know,
big project though.
What I have, I think I'm a little busy.
No, but you know what I like, because it's what you were saying. Like, some people go, for example, some people are foodies. They want to know, well, where can I get the best food? Some people are into fashion. We're gonna get fashion. For example, you know, I was very impressed by the local jewelry design creativity and industry there. And so some people might be into jewelry, or, you know, like I said, fashion, or the animals, going to see the little puffins, or, you know, they want to see, like, they want to do the adventurous things, you know, or all the waterfalls, or the you know, the thermal baths, or things like that, you know. So everyone is different. I mean, and you know, I'm just listing off a few, but of course there are other you know, elements and themes that people have in their minds. Children, they want to make sure their children, you know, are entertained and everything. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to start the content hub off a little more simple, but it has to evolve over time. Kind of what the idea is, just it's not only for people who are first timers visiting. It would also be for if you've been there plenty of times, or even just, I say twice or more, because the thing about Iceland is you probably encountered is that even though it's a small country, it looks small on the map, there's a lot to see.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, you usually don't feel like we had enough time.
No.
No,
and I was there, let me see, 6 days.
Oh yeah.
And one of them, there was like a storm, like the wind sounded like a hurricane outside. So our adventure that day was canceled. So that was not too great, but of course we had to stay safe. But I mean, there was just so much to do. Some people actually extended after the retreat and stayed to like explore further.
That's awesome. Yeah. And actually, Art as Air is on right now, who's April or Martin, whoever, which one of them. And it's funny because we were just talking about, they're the ones who did the documentary about the volcano fire in Iceland. So just
Thanks for joining.
Talking about your documentary. So, yeah. Congratulations
on that documentary. Yeah, thanks for joining. Oh yeah, someone says there's so much to enjoy in Iceland. Yeah, I mean, I think I just kind of, you know, skim the surface, quite frankly.
Gotta come back, that's all. Especially now, I mean, it's what, you went in 2015, so there's so much more different spas and everything. And oh yeah, this is so funny. I mean, beginning of May, I'm doing a 2-week trip around Iceland in a camper van. This will be,
that's gonna be awesome.
I've never done that. So
it's gonna be great though, and the weather will be milder.
Definitely. So yeah, my pleasure, no problem. Art is there. And yeah, it's one of those things where I'm super excited because I'm also going to be documenting it and sharing it. People will get a chance to also see what that's like, going to campsites, to sleep with a camper van, what it's like on the inside. And thankfully this one has a heater. So
woo! Yeah, because the nights will get chilly for sure. Yeah. Awesome. The storms in Iceland are brutal. Well, that one was super scary. I mean, the wind was howling outside. We stayed inside, of course, but it was quite impressive.
Yeah, we had a bunch of those just last February. And actually today we had a yellow and orange warning in different parts of the country. So the wind was like whipping. And it's so funny because I go out now and I went to the gym this morning and you're driving and you can feel the steering wheel. It's like you have to like pull it back to be like, no, wind, you cannot have my car.
But and see that's why I guess it's all of that you're describing. That's why our excursion that day was canceled, because there's no way. I mean, we had a driver, for our group, but I mean, there's no way it was safe to travel like that. And it was going to be an outdoor adventure that we were having. So it was like, no, we they were like, no. So they put up signs and, at the hotel we were staying at. And then, of course, our group leaders told us, no, we're not going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry?
I said it's the right thing to do.
Oh yeah, for sure. No. I wasn't like upset. I was a little bit disappointed, but of course there's nothing you can do. So tell us please about the best way or ways for people to contact you for information, collaboration, questions, comments, etc.
Yes. So a lot of people contact me in the direct messages, and that's like an Instagram. That is a little bit harder for me because I get a lot of messages and they're usually, and it's not bad. It's just that I don't always get back to everybody I would like to, because I'm trying to keep up with like multi different things, I'm a solopreneur. I am working on getting some more help though, because I want people to be answered, but I prefer email just because it's a little easier for me. And also Gmail sends me these little reminders being like, hey, you didn't answer this.
That's true. Or, what they do too, I don't know if you probably know this too, but if you send a message to someone and they have not responded after a certain number of days, yes, it actually sends you a notification. Oh, something like, oh, do you want to follow up or something like that?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's good. So if some reason I don't see an email or I didn't answer email, that might be that it went into my spam folder. That is something I'm checking more often as well, because that has happened. I felt really bad. Oh my God, I didn't realize that. So yeah, email is more preferred in my opinion, because then I can actually like keep track of it better. Whereas with Instagram, I feel like it piles up and it feels a lot less manageable for me. So
yeah, and it is possible to miss some of the direct messages on Instagram if it's below something else that maybe, for example, if someone tags you on something, that's going to show up, and then you sometimes you have to scroll down to see, oh well, there's an unread message.
Yeah, I've even had people do this that I thought was pretty funny. They'll write a comment on your post, I sent you a message. I'm like, okay, thank you.
I've heard people do that. Yeah. So what is your email address so people can find you like that?
Jewels, so JEWELLS at allthingsiceland.com.
Okay. So before we wrap this up and put a bow on it, I want to thank you so very much, Jules, for taking the time to come on and chat with us. And I want to ask if you have any, and I want to thank everybody else as well who joined either live or on the replay. And thanks for your energy here in the chat. And I want to ask you, Jules, if you have any final thoughts for us to wrap this all up and put a bow on it for us, please.
Absolutely. So I hope that all of you, thank you. I'm glad that you all joined. And I hope that if you're planning to come to Iceland, one of the things, at least I feel, that is super important is making sure you have the right clothing. Managing your expectations is super important regarding weather, and will help you to manage your expectations in terms of knowing that you can put on or take off whenever you need to. So having certain layers is just key. It's absolutely key for enjoying yourself here. And just know too, like we talked about the weather, this can happen all year long when there are storms. So there can be, of course, snowstorms in the wintertime, but windstorms can happen anytime in Iceland. And that can be, like you said, you mentioned that it was a little bit disappointing, but it can also, these warnings can save your life. And
yes.
Yeah, the people that I talked about, the Icelandic search and rescue teams, like I really take my hat off to them, because they go out there. People are stuck in the snow. People fall into a crevasse and on a glacier, like intense stuff. They go out there and they rescue people, or they do their best to, you know, keep these people from getting further injured if they've already been injured. Lastly, another warning, and I only say this, I really care that people do not, first of all, become one of those videos that gets shared on the internet. At the Black Sand Beach, so Rinds, Black Sand Beach, and many other beaches here, the water looks like it's calm and no big deal, or it might just like the waves are kind of intense. They're actually dangerous. There are beaches that can die. So Rinds, Black Sand Beach is a prime example where they're called sneaker waves, and they call it because they sneak up on you. Like it's not going to come that fast, and all of a sudden it just comes up out of nowhere, and it can suck you out and drown you. And people have died, families have died. This has been, you know, heartbreaking. So please keep a safe distance from the water for your own safety. My main concern, like, you want to have memories, good memories that will last, not the ones where you felt like you regretted, you know, doing something because it's unknown to you. You know, when most of us go to the beach, we just think of having a good time laying on the sand, enjoying the water, but that's not like how everywhere in Iceland, where it's fine. But just keep your eyes open, safe. If you don't see a sign that says something's dangerous, doesn't mean it isn't necessarily dangerous. FYI, not Icelanders don't put signs everywhere. Usually not touristy locations they do, but there's still a lot of raw, untouched nature, especially in the highlands, where that could be a very dangerous place. But also beautiful. It's worth going. You just go with a guide, or, you know what you're doing beforehand. So that's my little essay, just for everyone to have a great time. Iceland is amazing, and I'm sure you'll love it if you come. But, you know, dress well, keep your eyes open, and stay safe.
Yeah, and I did notice that there were some, you know, shops in, I guess it's downtown Reykjavik, where you can get like your winter gear and so forth and so on. So I guess if a person did not, you know, pack whatever they would require, I did see, and you would be the expert on this, but as far as I recall, there were shops where people could buy, you know, appropriate clothing.
Yeah, 66 Degrees North, Sentamani. I forgot the other name. There's a couple of them, and there's outlet places as well. And outlets in Iceland, I mean, they're not the prices you're used to. And other places, things are more expensive. That's another thing. Managing your expectations. Know that things are a lot more expensive. If you like to drink, I always recommend going to duty free to get alcohol there, because it is tax-free, and that's what makes it very expensive, is the taxes, because the higher the percentage of alcohol, the more they tax it. And it's government owned, or government not owned, but government, the liquor stores are government owned and, you know, regulated. So the government's like, will happily take your money, your coins for taxes and drinking. So that's why. And there are a lot of good happy hours too. So, you know, you should always keep a lookout for those.
But I tell you, I mean, those bars we went to on New Year's Eve were so much fun. Oh my gosh. And it was like, you know, we were just dancing, like just like there, like right in front of the bar. Everyone was just dancing. It was just awesome.
I'm glad you had a great time.
Yeah, the vibe was awesome. We have some comments here. Follow the rules, read the signs. Having a guide is worth the investment. Yes.
I agree. Especially to places that you're not, like on a glacier, you have to have a guide. Going to the highlands, you should definitely have a guide. Like things like that. You want to enjoy them in a way that, first of all, you get to understand too the landscape, because they're a wealth of information, and also the expertise, like crossing rivers in a car, for instance. Like, I don't know how to do that. I don't care to learn how to do that, to be fair, to be honest, but I want to be with someone who does, because they have the nerves for it, right? Like, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing.
I agree. Well, Jules, thank you so very much for taking the time to share your journey with us, your experience and expertise with us, and just brava to you for all that you're doing. And I am going to save this on IGTV, my stories, and my feed, and then I'll message you after.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, and hi to everybody, and thank you. And yes, thank you so much for your platform and inviting me. It's been a great time. Love being able to share, especially about the different aspects of being a person. You know, I don't know why I'm carrying this, but anyway, different aspects of being a person. And plant-based is such a huge part of my life, So it is nice and interesting to talk about that. I don't normally get that emphasis most of the time, which is okay. You know, it's like there's being Black in Iceland or just being an American in Iceland or person, whatever, you know, all these things. So I like that I get to talk about that. And so I appreciate you shining light on this.
Thank you. All right. So with that, we're going to just close this out. And I just want to, again, thank you so much, Jules. Thank you, everyone else. And take good care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.